Now, if you don't know what a basic bodice is, it is a base for you to create anything, to make a basic top, to make a crop top, to make a princess dart bustier, to make a normal bustier, to make a corset. Okay, so anything that has to do with you making a fitted top, you need this basic block. So even if you're making a madam blouse, like a fitted one, you need this basic block. So this is the sewing allowance I added. I did half an inch, 1 inch on both sides, and then on the lower part, I did half inch for my zip allowance. You can do 1.5 for your zip allowance if you want. Okay. Now the sewing is very easy, and like I always say, if you know you like taking some shortcuts, just know that you're not going to get the same results. Okay, but if you want to end up with something like this, take your time and follow the same process. Okay, so that's here that I'm explaining. You can basically cut it out just like I did in my previous video, or you can just go ahead to transfer it with this pin, or anyhow you find transferring your darts very easy. For me, I use the pin to pin every basic point of the darts. Like, okay, so pinning it like this will poke the pin out on the other side. And now when it comes out on the other side, all you want to do is to go ahead to use your marker pen, your chalk, or anything to mark a dot. To mark a dot where you are seeing all these 4 pens, just the way I am doing in this video. You see the way I am dotting it. Now after you're done dotting it where all the pins poke out, now just use your ruler to connect your darts this way, as simple as it is. However, this should not stop you from being creative or discovering other ways to make things easy for you. Now this is me dotting the boss point side. Now I'll go ahead to flip it over to the main side. Now I'll also raise this pattern paper and mark the same dot on the other side of the material, just the way you're seeing in this video. Just go ahead and follow the same thing. So while I am dotting it, for those who willingly subscribe, like, and comment on this video, thank you very much. But for others, please don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like and share, and always check back for more videos. Okay, so the same thing I did for the front with the paint is the same thing I am doing for the back pattern. Now I am not rushing it so that you take your time and see it in case you want to learn something from it. But if you want to discover something for yourself, you can also go ahead to do that, so you would not complain and say, oh, it's too fast and all of that. Okay, just mark your dots where those pins came out and then go ahead to connect your dots. Look at how beautiful it is. You can use chalk or you can use fabric pen. It's easier when you iron it, all the marks will disappear. Okay, so after I've done connecting the darts for the other side of the back part, I'm doing the same thing for the front part. Now, like I said earlier, you can decide to cut out this dart. It's going to make it easy for you to just mark your darts and all of that. But I am not doing that for this particular tutorial. So I'll just go ahead to cut it out following the allowances I added. Now this video is not supposed to be this long, but I decided not to make it too fast or skip so many parts, just so you see the detailed cutting and also the sewing of this top. Okay, so this is it after I'm done cutting it. Now this is the front and then this is the back. Now I'll go ahead to remove all the paint and so take away the pattern paper, so we'll get into the sewing parts properly. Okay, so after I'm done removing the pattern paper, I'll go ahead to trace out the dart that I marked from the other side of the fabric. Remember, we marked the other side. Now, on the other part of the material, this is basically what I am doing right now, tracing out the darts. When I am done and I open it up, you would see what I am trying to say here. And also for this part, this is me tracing out the darts from the other end, just so I get an accurate line and connect it outward this way. And when I go ahead to open it, this is what I'm saying. The dart is being marked out on the 2 sides of the fabric. And basically, I'm just going to go ahead to repeat the same thing on the other side of the back part of this dress. It is as simple as you're seeing it. And basically, I am not rushing it so that you're going to understand every bit of it. Okay, so now the next thing we're going to do is cut out the interfacing for the front and the back. If you already know how to cut out an interfacing, then that is fine. Now this is 2 because I'm cutting out the back. Remember, the back is cut into 2. Now I'm going to place it this way and then I'm trace out the neckline just the way I am showing you in this video. Now after I'm done tracing it out, I'll measure the wideness of the interfacing I want. I'm going to be using 2 inches. Now I'll trace the line also from the shoulder end and I'll also come down by 2 inches on this side. Now I'll take away the main fabric and I'll measure 2 inches all the way around and connect it to give me a perfect interfacing curve. While I am done doing that, I'll just go ahead to cut it out. Okay, so I also want you to understand that I use 2 inches. You can use more, you can use 3, you can use 4 for your interfacing length. Now this is what you should get after you're done. This is looking perfect. Now the next thing I'm going to do is also do the same thing for the front. Now this part is supposed to be sitting perfectly well with the center line here. It's supposed to be matching. Now I'll go ahead to trace out the neckline and I also measure out 2 inches just the same way I did for the back. Now I'll trace it following the main cut from the main fabric and also curve out the neck area this way. So after I'm done creating the curve, I'll take out the main fabric. Now I'll also go down by 2 inches, just the same way I did for the back. Now I'll connect 2 inches all the way around to meet the starting point line at the shoulder area. Now I'll go ahead to create my perfect curve and cut it out. Just the same way I did for the back. Now, like I said, you can add more. You can do 3, 4, 5 inches for your interfacing. Depends on how wide you want it. Okay, so if you decide you want to practice this, take a screenshot so that you can also compare while you are working on your own. Now, I'll go ahead to sew the interfacing and I'll also stitch the darts and come back and show you what it looks like. So basically, I am done with sewing the darts for now. This is for the front. Now, if you sew your own and you have lumps, like you have spaces here, do not panic. That is very correct because it means that it's the part that is going to accommodate your boobs. Now, the interfacing, I also stitched it, notched it, and when I turn it to the right side, this is what you would end up with, a perfect faced neckline this way. Okay, another thing I want you to understand is that the space you will get here depends on how bustier you are. Now, to the back part, I also stitched the dart, and now when I was sewing the interfacing for the back, I did not sew it out completely because when I add the zip here, so I'll use the interfacing to close up the upper part of the zip. So this is what I mean. So when I stitch the zip, this interfacing will go over it like so and then cover it up at that top area. So just in case you don't understand, when I'm done sewing it, you're going to understand better. Now for the sewing of the zip, I'm going to be going up by 2.5 inches. You can do 2 inches if you want, but I don't want the zip to start exactly from the lower part of the dress. Now I'll go by 2 inches. Now from that 2 inches, that's where I'm going to be stitching my zip upward in this form. So moving forward, this is what you should get if you're also following the same process. Now this is how the zip is looking like after I'm done stitching it. Now this is it. I went ahead to top stitch the interfacing like I told you earlier, and it's covered up the zip at the upper part. Now I'll flip it over to the right side, and this is what you would get. Then I also go ahead to flip the other side of the zip just the same way I did for this other side. And after I'm done, go ahead to zip it up, and this is what the inside is looking like, and this is what the upper part, like I told you, cover up the zip part, gives it a very good finishing. Now you can decide to weave it or just leave it like that, but I am going to be weaving mine. Now get the front parts of this dress right side facing each other. Now go ahead to shape it with the sewing allowance you added, or basically you can shape it, and I'm going to explain to you how you can do that. And I'm going to be using the waistline for example. Now from one end to the other end, stretch it out if it is a very stretchy fabric. Divide your round body measurement by 2 and then mark it. Now whatever you get, divide what is remaining there by another 2. Mark half of it on this side like this, and then the other half you're going to mark it on this other side of the fabric. Now the other half, this is where you're going to be marking it here, and then you go ahead to shape your dress. But if you're sure of the allowance you added, just basically use the allowance you added, which makes it very easy for you. Now get this, the shoulder line, the both of them, the front and the back, open it up this way, including the interfacing, making sure that stitched area, the neckline, is matching on both sides. Then go ahead to stitch it with the 1/2 inch sewing allowance you added. Do this on the other side. And please don't forget, in the process of doing all this thing, remember to always iron where necessary and where needful. Now, this is what mine looks like after I am done stitching everything. Now, this is me basically opening it up to show you every part I stitched. This is the shoulder line, and I'll go ahead to zip it up. Now, the interfacing for the neckline here, you can decide to use hemming gum to press it down, or you use your needle and thread to hand tack it. Now, I'll go ahead to join the sleeve, shape it, and also hem the lower part of the sleeve. And I also go ahead to hem the lower part of this top with the sewing allowance I added. Remember that this busty part is supposed to be fluffy for it to accommodate your boobs. Okay, so basically this is it. The main difficult thing here is just sewing the dart. Any other thing is straightforward. Okay, so feel free to ask any question if you want to ask. See you in my next tutorial.